Lovely people. How are you? Just told me I might not be on YouTube, so it would be good if someone would check for me. When you pop on, let's have a look and see where you are. I guess I'll see you if you're coming from YouTube. How are you? It's lovely to see you. It's I don't know. I was going to look out the window and tell you about the weather because it's always a fascinating way to start. It's sort of grey, sunny. It doesn't really know what it wants to be. So tell me what is outside your window. I'm just going to see if people are here. Here you are. Give me a hello in the chat. Yay, yay, yay. And tell me if you're coming from YouTube or if you're coming from Facebook, because I'm hoping that YouTube thing is working today, but my computer seemed to reset itself and I don't know. Oh, I can see Facebook. Cool. Sound and looks good. And Facebook, excellent. So far, you're all from Facebook. So I don't know if it's appearing on YouTube. We'll work that one out later. It's lovely to see you here, sunny and hot in North Canterbury. You guys have had the most incredible summer. We have had the most rubbish summer. It's been wet and cold. And you know, the last couple of mornings, not so much this morning, but the last couple of mornings, we've woken up. And for those of you in New Zealand who don't have double glazing nor decent heating inside will understand that the windows have all been wet. And so obviously it was much colder outside than inside. Crazy. Okay, I can't see anyone calling in from YouTube. Most strange. I don't know why it's not working, but I'm sorry about that, YouTube people. I will have to figure out why next time. I'm all hooked up to YouTube, but it won't seem to go there. Never mind. We'll figure that out. I'm reading your comments. Morena, Sabrina, nice to see you. Hi, Lisa. Apparently the South Island is the place to be this summer. Yes, so I hear. The South Island is the place to be. So for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, the further you go south, the colder it's supposed to get in New Zealand, not warmer. And yet it's like we've turned upside down. I haven't got live notification from YouTube. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Amanda. I am apparently hooked up to YouTube, but then it said, make sure you enable YouTube. And I was like, what are you talking about? Enable YouTube. I've been enabling YouTube for months. Anyway, enough about that. Okay, I'm here. I thought there's a couple of things to talk to you about. I have got so many things on the go. I'm finally getting my days back where I can do a bit of work, which is really exciting for me. And so I've been working hard to bring you all sorts of beautiful knits. You will be very, very pleased to hear that the double knit timely pattern is on my needles. Yay! I can hear you already. Yay! We've only been waiting 5 years. So it is on my needles and it's called Double Time. So there will be a pattern coming in the next couple of months for a double knit timely cardigan. It's slightly different. I've slightly wintrified it. That's not even a word, but I've wintrified it so that it has it's not designed to be set back off your shoulders like the other one is. You will be able to do it up. It's going to still have that slim line of the original timely. It's going to have features that the original timely had that I really love, but we're making it a winter garment because it's a DK garment, and so it's long sleeves. We're sticking with our twisted rib. Sorry, everybody, but I think I will change that up slightly because it's just going to have a slightly different feel to it, a wintrified feel to it. So it's double time. Double time will take you double the time that knitting a timely probably took you because it's DK. It's whipping up really fast. Hasn't got pockets, but I have just released a pattern to Wardrobe Toolbox that has pockets, and I have more pockets in my brain. So there will be more pockets coming. But anyway, so that's what's on my needles right now, the double time cardigan. So I thought I'd tell you because I know you have been waiting, patiently waiting. It's really going to be lovely. I've done a beautiful collaboration with Lynn from Fibre to Go, and she's come up with some new colorways. So it's really going to be quite gorgeous. Anyway, it'll be out soon. I'll tell you all about it. I've got other things coming for you in the next little while. some of the patterns from Wardrobe Toolbox we're going to release in the next couple of weeks. And then I'm busy working away at a whole range of new patterns for Truly Myrtle yarn because, but there's new colors coming. So don't tell anyone, but there are new colors coming and they'll be out in a few months' time, several months' time. And we're going to have some new patterns to go with that. So yay, we're all go over here at Truly Myrtle. Maeve, yeah, that's our new pattern over at Wardrobe Toolbox. I tell you what, this my Maeve jumper that we just released in Wardrobe Toolbox, I am going to live in that jumper this winter. I just know I am. For those of you who are not in Wardrobe Toolbox, it'll be out next year. But it's a yoke, reverse stockinette yoke, fairly longish line, inset pockets in the front in this gorgeous lace. It's sort of like a lace rib at the bottom with inset pockets, little peekaboo pockets with different colors. It's slimline sleeves. I had so much fun putting that together, and it knits up so fast because it's really lovely plump DK, sort of a worsted yarn. So yeah, I'm so pleased with that. You'll see that when the weather cools off. I'll wear it here. Another reminder to you all, though, as well, because I've got hair in my eye. The doors for Wardrobe Toolbox are opening as well. Not yet. They'll be opening in March, 18th of March for 10 days. So just if you're not in Wardrobe Toolbox, make sure you're on my mini mag list and or the Wardrobe Toolbox mailing list so that I can let you know when the doors have opened. We're rolling on with all of our things. I'm really looking forward to this next season 7. You'll have access to all of the old material that we had before. You won't have access to the old patterns. You can get access to the old patterns, but you just purchase those from within the website. And some of them are released already to everybody and others are not. And so you get priority for those. If you're inside, you get to buy those in the website. So you will get the new patterns as they're rolled out, and you get access to all the material that we've ever made, all of the videos and the masterclasses and the lessons, and you name it, it's there. We've got a new plan for season 7. I'll talk about this more when we come closer, but we're going to do a refresher. So if you're feeling anxious that you're going to come in and you just don't know what you don't know, then we have ways of starting with the basics, and we're going to start doing some refreshers. And I think some of you who are already in there will find that really useful. So those will run alongside our new lessons. It's really going to be quite fun. So Wardrobe Toolbox, the doors will open mid-March. And just make sure you're keeping an eye on the podcast because I'll talk about it more here, that you're on the mailing list and for either my mini mag or Wardrobe Toolbox, and then you will see more about what's happening inside, and you'll get all the links when the doors open. That's all my admin that I needed to tell you. Oh, you love the twisted rib of the Timely. So I know that the double-sided twisted rib with the twisted pearls, that's a bit of a killer. I know that. So I'm thinking I'm going to dump the pearl side. Well, I am. I'm not going to have the pearl side twisted rib, just the knit side twisted rib. At this stage, that's what I'm thinking. Because the pearl side twisted rib gives you quite an open rib. And given that we're making this more of a winter garment, I do want it twisted. But I'll just see. But at this stage, I'm thinking of keeping a little bit of denseness to that rib. So I haven't got to the rib yet. So I may change my mind when I get there. Join Wardrobe Toolbox and get all the yummy patterns before the rest of the world. Exactly. So you get about a year's head start on them in Wardrobe Toolbox. I usually leave it about a year before I release them to everybody else. And I've already, the patterns for season 7 they're underway. They haven't actually been knitted up yet, but they're underway. And it's just fun. I'm having more and more fun with it. So anyway, hi from Sydney. Lovely to see you too. Okay. What I thought I would talk to you about today is something I'm sure you're like really riveted to know more about, but there are two things. One is what we've done in the Hangout, and for those of you here from Facebook, you're already in the Hangout because that's where you get to watch this. In our Hangout over on Facebook, it's our private group just for talking about and knitting and sharing all about our Truly Myrtle patterns, and it's a nice place to come because other people might not care about our knitting as much as we care about our knitting, but other people knitting care about our knitting as much as we care about our knitting. So it's really nice to have a space where we all get to show off our photos, ask questions, feel inspired, and just have a bash at new things, experiment a little bit. And that's what we do over there in the Hangout. So one of the things that has always been a lovely feature of the Hangout is having the opportunity to see what everybody else is knitting. Not everybody is using Ravelry in the way that they once were. And social media has really taken over. And it's really nice to be able to go somewhere and to see examples of the things you want to knit. Now, if you are still on Ravelry or you use Ravelry, I think it's still really, really good idea to post pictures of your projects over there modeled, because I think it really helps everybody else see what they look like on you. And then we can hunt through for bodies that look like ours, and we can find examples of these knits. And I just think it's really helpful when you're trying to find a pattern, or when you're wanting to modify a pattern, or work out if it really is something you want, to see it on other bodies. And I've always felt that, and I think it's a really good tool. So still do that. And the other nice thing is, if you do make mods, if you have comments you want to make about the pattern, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, you can put those on the Ravelry page that you've created. And I just think those things are all really helpful for people. So still do that if you want to. However, it is really nice to also have our dedicated Truly Myrtle space where we can really, roll around in our love of Truly Myrtle patterns and really enjoy them and be inspired by one another. I like that. So we can do that over in the Facebook page, Facebook group, the Hangout. So I think that one of the things we've been missing, though, is we've been missing a place to sort of have all of the photos combined, all of the collated together. And quite often we want to go back and whip your photos because they're so awesome and we love to show them off. And we, not just me, but, the people that help me as well. And so the little team of people, my mods and things. And so what we've done is created some albums within the Hangout for you to pop your photos. And the idea is, if you don't mind us showing off your photos, you can pop them in there. I think you can pop them in there even if you do mind. You just make a note and say, oh, I'd prefer it if you didn't show off my photo, because I'd love to be able to use them in my newsletter and on my Facebook page and all over the show, just to say, look at this absolutely example, because I can't tell you how many times you guys make Truly Myrtle patterns in your own colors, particularly, or you put your little twist on it. And I'm thinking, oh, I kind of wish I'd done that. They look really, really good. So it would be really nice to show those off, because I can't knit all the things all the time and all of your beautiful colors. So we've created some albums in the Hangout, and they're all pinned to the top of the page, and they're there for you to post your photos in the albums. And then everyone can go to the albums and they can scroll through, and it's just like a photo album. And there's one for garments and one for shawls and one for socks and hats. And they're pinned at the top of the page. So if you're in the Hangout, you can scroll to the top or look up pinned. I think they're called pinned or highlighted or something like that. I think they vary, those words. Pinned to the top of the page, and you will see the albums there. And you could just pop your projects in there. Pop your photos in there. If you don't want us to use them anywhere else, just say, please don't use this one, or let's keep this one private, something to indicate that you just want it here, but you're not really that thrilled on us showing everybody else and showing you off all over the show. But if you don't mind, then I'd love to be able to show off your photos. So I'm just looking at your comments here. Will your new colorways be available for release of double time? No, I'm not going to knit it in Truly Myrtle yarn. I'm knitting it in a lovely, I'm trying to keep the essence of that original Timely cardigan. And if you remember that original Timely, my fingering Timely cardigan, and I'll talk about this more at the time, it's the merino silk bamboo blend. So it's quite a slinky, cool feel to it, and I like the sleekness of that yarn. I really like the smooth, very smooth, slight glow of that yarn. So I'm I've endeavored to keep the essence of some of that in the yarn I've chosen. So I'm using a superwash merino from Fiber to Go. It's her, it's going to escape me now, the name, the Ziggy base. I think it's the Ziggy. And it's beautiful, slinky sort of DK yarn. So I'm not going to use mine. You can use mine. You will be able to later, but the new colorways won't be out in time for that anyway. But I'm going for this hand dyed. For this, I may well knit up another one in a different yarn. So you have some options that you can see for especially price points for yarn. But at this stage, not the Truly Myrtle yarn. But I will give you lots more information about yarn and yarn ideas closer to the time. It's a couple of months away, but it'll be ready for the Southern Hemisphere. It'll be ready for your autumn and just early going into the winter. And for the Northern Hemisphere, as you're reaching the end, as spring hits, you'll be ready to cast a DK cardigan on. I know you will. All my Truly Myrtle projects are on Ravelry or in the Hangout, but the albums are a great idea. I'm not the world's best model, but I love wearing my hand knits. Yeah, I love wearing my hand knits too. I just love it. I was saying to someone the other day who's going to be seeing a bit of me this year, you wait, all those hand knits are going to be out. You'll see them. You'll see them all, especially as the winter comes. Amanda says, seeing patterns in different colors can make a huge difference. Rebel was one I had decided it wasn't ready for me because it's so bright, isn't it? It's that, it's that sort of electric yellow version of that green over there. It's bright. So Amanda was like, maybe not for me. But then she saw it in a gorgeous pale gray and she changed her mind instantly and added it to her never-ending list of things to knit. This is the thing. It's really nice to see things differently because I think it can help us, our imagination just start flowing when we see things in different yarns. Hi, Sue. Nice to see you. The yarn description sounds wonderful. Yeah. So Shona, there's elements of the fingering one that I wanted to bring into the DK, but it's not a straight out copy of the fingering one. I'm adjusting it because it's a winter cardigan. It's a warmer weight cardigan. It's not a little summer sit on your shoulders, cropped. It's not any of those things. It's a different kind of cardigan. So but there are elements of it that I wanted to bring over. I knitted your Carnival hat and Lynn Ziggy yarn in the Tasman color. Awesome. Yeah, that's right. I did use it for Carnival, the little hat, the little couple of hats I released last year. I think it was last year. That's Ziggy. Beautiful yarn. Someone said, I love Ziggy. My flux is in Ziggy and I have another lot of it for another flux. Oh, it'll be lovely. It'll be really pick up the texture. So it really does pick up texture beautifully. And we've got this play of colors and you're really going to like it. Are you coming to Wolf Feast this year? I'm not coming to Christchurch this year, Lisa. Sorry about that. Oh, yay, says someone, I've got some of Lynn's Ziggy in my stash. So it's going to be Ziggy. There are new colors though. So she's working at colors just for this. So if you have Ziggy already, by all means, pop it aside. But if you want to wait, there will be lovely, new, fresh ideas for you. So it's up to you. You might look, it's a timely cardigan. How many people have made 2, 3, 4 timely cardigans? A lot. You can make a million different ways. The timely cardigan. No, Morgan, your name isn't showing up. It just says Facebook user. And I'm really sorry to everyone, but I'm not live on YouTube today for some strange reason. It tells me I'm going to YouTube, but it's not showing up. So I'll computers. I will make sure it is better next week. Okay. So we have our folders. They're actually called albums on Facebook. We have our albums. We're going to put photos in there, garments, shawls, hats and socks, so we can all see them. And then we're going to have them permanently pinned the top of the feed thing, permanently pinned, and you'll see them at the top. What we might do is make a couple of tiles for the front so you can see that they say garments, shawls, whatever, so that you can instantly see them. They're pinned at the top, but it's pretty obvious. Some are garments, some are shawls, and some are socks and hats. So you'll see those at the top there. So go and pop your photos in. I would absolutely love you to do that. And then we can start really enjoying each other's stuff and showing you off, which will be great. I have a whole page here next to me. I have these notes next to me, so I'm going to glance at them from time to time. One of the things that I have been banging on about for literally years is modeling your knits. And there was someone in there who said that they love wearing their hand knits, but they don't like taking photos of themselves in them. Look, I know that. I totally know that feeling. As every year passes, I loathe the photos more and more. I have to do all these freaking photos in my knits and then put them on the patterns. It's by far the least favorite thing that I do. It doesn't even come into favorites. It's like it's not something I like doing, but it's good because I'm just a real person like you. And if I ask you to do it, I should do it too. And it's just continuity and it works. And look, for now, I'm going to do it until the mantle is passed to someone younger and more gorgeous. For now, you're getting me in the photos. So I have to do it. So over the years, I haven't figured out. I definitely haven't figured out, but I have tried to think about what makes a more interesting photo. And I don't always do that. I don't always hit it very well. I try, but and then I do tend to always have similar poses. People point that out to me. I can't help that. That's just how it goes. I find it really hard to look in the camera. I tend to not look at the camera. That makes it more bearable for me. And there are different poses that I am more willing to show you than others. Let's just put it that way. So, but I have been doing this, taking photos with Mr. Myrtle because he's my photographer. Mostly it's him. I have used other people over the years, various times, not many, probably no more than a handful. But I've got over 100 patterns. But I have to cough, hang on. But I have, so how many years? It's over 100 patterns. Like there's a lot of patterns now. And the vast majority, 99% of those patterns have got me in them. There's a couple that have got my kids. There's one, the Maximus hat. That's my brother, one of my brothers. I have 3 brothers. That's one of my brothers. And one of my sister-in-law's in one. And, then there's some that were in Liner magazine, but the rest, they're all me, right? My chooks are noisy today. The rooster is going crazy. He's got some she girls. He's got some girls in there today. He always does now, but we have now meat. He's a meat rooster. Have I told you that? You should see the thighs on him. They're massive. Sorry if you're not a meat eater. He's a meat bird, and he now has meat girls in there too. So he's very noisy, very, very happy boy. Take natural photos when you're not thinking about taking photos usually work out the best. Yeah, and that's always hard. But I'm going to give you some of my tips that I've learned. It's great seeing real women modeling their knits rather than slim models. It is. Yes, it is. And yeah, that's just, I figure. And the thing that I have is age. I have age on my side. And so I'm definitely getting more age on my side. And you'll notice that I've always had brown hair and it is still mostly brown, but I'm getting little silver flecks are coming. And I'm definitely getting older, and you'll just see that. You just see that change, and that's just how it is. So I was going to give you a couple of tips because I would love to see more of you. You can hide them away in Facebook in our group. That's fine. You can put them in these albums. And if you do put them on Ravelry, as I said, it's really helpful. But I love seeing you in your modeled knits. I love it. But there are some things that I think will help you make you feel better about posting them or more willing to post them and not bin them, right? Okay, so I have a whole page. I actually made a blog post about this, and I will put a link to it in my mini mag that will come out tomorrow, so you can have a little read if you want to. And it sounds a little frivolous, and I know you can just stand in front of a camera and you can take a snap, but take it from me, if you just spend 10 minutes thinking about it, I think you might be happier about the photos. And then maybe your family can look at them later when you're old and say, Mom, look at you. You look so lovely, or whatever, you know. I don't like having my photo taken, but I do it because I like seeing others in their knits. And like you said, it's different fits on different bodies. Exactly. I think so. So let's try and make it so we feel more comfortable though. Right. One. This is my one. You don't need any fancy equipment. You really don't. We use a DSLR. I have a DSLR camera, which I've had for, 10 years. It's not a fancy DSLR camera. It's like a really basic model. I have bought a nice-ish lens, but it's still not a super expensive lens, but I've got a nice-ish lens that's good for taking portrait photos. And so they're called fixed. They're 50 mil fixed lens, right? And so we use that. I don't use the lens that came on the camera. And that is okay. Some of the phones now are quite likely better than my actual camera, but we use the camera, and I take some up that way, we take some up that way, and we take some that way. And I have watched lots of YouTube videos. 10 years ago, I watched a whole pile of YouTube videos on how to use the camera. We use it in manual. And I did a course in England on photography. I did a night course, and it was really, really fun because it reminded me of taking art at school, and I hadn't done that for years, and I love art. So that was really fun, but I don't take the photos. Mr. Myrtle takes the photos. Mr. Myrtle is not a photographer. He doesn't know an f-stop from a shutter speed, anything. He doesn't know anything about anything, and he has stubbornly refused to learn any of this at all over any of the years. So the way we do it is I set up the photo. I say, I think we probably want this, this, and this, and then I give it to him, and then he takes the photo, and then I look at it. And these days I have to put my glasses on, and you can't really see what they look like on the screen anyway at the back. And I go, oh yeah, that's pretty rubbish. Or I say, I can't tell if they're in focus. Sometimes, a lot of the time, they're not in focus. And so then I adjust it, and then I turn the light, and I try and stand, and I do all the photo directing, and he just points it at me and shoots. And he does a really good job for that level of skill, I think. So that's the way we take the photos. There have been moments where I have just faked a happy face because I'm so freaking cross at him because things don't seem to be working at all, and I just want it done, and I just want it properly. And so I get a bit grumpy sometimes, but on the whole, it's fine. We try and go as fast as possible because neither of us enjoy it all that much. And usually after a while, I say, I think that's all right. That's enough. Should we just stop now because that's enough? And so I think we might spend 20 minutes, 10 or 20 minutes maybe, taking photos. And then sometimes we have to do it again because they were all rubbish. So it's really not professional. And that's us. So I think you can probably have a bash. The hardest thing is finding someone who's willing to take the photos and someone that you don't mind taking the photos. That's the hardest thing. But you could always set up a tripod and do it yourself. You could do that. I would find that a little hard. But first thing, find someone to take some photos that you don't mind taking photos of you, and let's hope they're willing, because I think those are the hardest things. But in terms of equipment, you don't need fancy equipment. You can make an interesting photo as long as it's in focus mostly. Then you can get by with all sorts of cameras and things. So that's the first thing. Natural light. That is the best. I've said here natural light. We don't use a flash. We use the camera on manual, and I figure out all the different settings that I like. And we go outside. Very rarely do you see me in a photo inside. And if we do, I'm by a window. So we try and use natural light. So we don't have lights. We don't have reflectors. We don't have any of that stuff. You can probably tell any of that. A real photographer would be looking at them just, but we don't have any of that stuff. You don't need any of that stuff. But try and get outside. If it's really, really, really sunny, it's very hot modeling hot things in very sunny weather. I know that. But also just find some shade. Dappled shade can be really nice. Move under a tree or something. So just think about the light. It's all about light photography. So move yourself somewhere where you don't have harsh light on you. A cloudy day is the best. Cloudy days are amazing for taking photos. Your skin looks good. The light is beautiful. If you can soften everything down with a nice cloudy day. So if you have the choice between a really hot middle of the day shot and waiting till 5 or 7 in the evening and it's not dark, then wait and try and do it later in the day. It's a little bit cooler anyway. Okay, backgrounds. So I have this thing about, we live out rurally, there's a lot of grass. I find a background of grass, I just hardly ever have a background of grass because the grass is so lime green, and I find that just not a good, I don't like that in my photos. I prefer much more muted colors in my backgrounds. I don't really want it to distract. Sometimes we jump in the car and we go somewhere, but usually I'm just trying to grab Mr. Myrtle for a moment and get photos done, and so we won't go anywhere. But we have gone all sorts of places. We've gone to local schools. We've gone into town and down alleyways and found interesting walls. We've gone to schools that are far away. We've gone to my old primary school, actually, is a great one. And a lot of the ones you see on all the big stone steps, they're from my old primary school. We go and sit on the steps. We've gone in front of shops when they're closed. Where else have we gone? Oh, the floozy shots we did down at a railway station. We've done some up the top of mountains, Mount Eden. I did a shoot up there. So sometimes we've gone really fun places. And that actually is really fun. If you can make the effort to go somewhere, it can be really fun. Pukekohe train station. I haven't been there. We went down to the Remuera train station. It is similar though, isn't it? The old train station, but they had that lovely old fashioned train station. So we went there. And so we've gone all over the show, but the things I look for are just like interesting backdrops. I like interesting walls. If you can get a nice shot in the distance that, even if it's like trees and things that we often do them in our driveway. We've got a long driveway. A lot of my shots are in the driveway. I've stood out in the middle of the road here, and I did the floozy too, where's the green jumper on the grey road. I also did another one out there, a shawl I did out there too, and it's the grey road behind me. That is, well, it was 100 k's, now it's only 80, but it's the road, and we just get out of the way if traffic comes, but it's quite quiet, our road. So you can go all over the show and just think a little bit outside the box, and you'll be grateful for it. You'll be grateful that you just didn't stand in front of the house with the wall right behind you. You will actually be pleased of it afterwards because it makes it a little more fun to do, and you'll like the shots better. I'd give yourself a little bit of a distance away from the background. Go a bit further forward so the background's a little bit more fuzzy and the focus is on you. It'll make the shot a little bit more interesting. But yeah, you could have fun. Just go places. The only thing about going places is people. There are people, often people there, and you have to just suck that up. You just have to go, I don't even care. I don't even care that I don't look like a model with my photographer. I look like a dad and a mum taking photos of some knitting. I don't even care about all that. I'm just going to stand here and I'm going to do it anyway. And we just take photos and people look at you, and there's dad and mum taking photos of mum's knitting, but that's fine. And we just do that anyway. So have fun with where you go. Really have some fun with it. And when you're out and about, look for interesting walls. There's some shots we did, that Rebel cardigan of mine, it's all black, dark. We went into town. We went down the back of K Road. Those of you in Auckland will know. It's like the red light district. And, well, it was. And we went down the back to an alley, and we found little dark corners in the alley, and I stood there. And then we also found in that same location a beautiful rusted gate, like this big flat rusted panel. And I did photos in front of that of my mindful shawl. And I just stood a little bit in front of it, so it was not so like clear in the background. And you can frame it up. You can even edit it later. I'll talk about that in a second. And you just can have an interesting shot that tones in with what you're wearing. Think colors and textures and stuff like that. When you think about editing, I do edit my photos. My son, who's actually a very good photographer now, but he has taken photos of me, but he tends to accentuate the lines in my face. And I'm just like, you could make me look a little younger. But anyway, he hasn't taken any photos of me for a while. But he is itching for me to use professional photographic editing software. I can't use that. I don't know how to use that. So I just use what's on my computer, and that works fine. But the things that make a real difference once you've got your photo is like squaring it up, or making an angle, or just changing the shot so that it's interesting, and cropping is what I'm trying to say. Crop your shot. If you can be bothered doing that, it does make a bit of a difference. It takes 5 minutes. Okay. Background. I've said that. Keep your eyes out for good backgrounds and make a note of them because you'll forget. But if you pass something, like there's a beautiful old church up north, and every time we pass it, I say to Mr. Myrtle, "Oh, we must remember that beautiful old church, because that actually I should bring knitwear up here and do something in front of that. The side of that building is just glorious, peeling old paint, and it looks so lovely." But it's quite far away. Okay. I've said here, one of my tips, Mr. Myrtle is my photographer. And although he's not a pro and not always in the mood, sometimes he's mowing the lawn, he does take well to directions. If I ask him nicely, he does. My kids less so. So yeah, choose a photographer that will actually focus on you for a minute. I remember on that floozy shoot, I actually took floozy cardigan. I actually took Mr. Myrtle, and my brother came to take photos, and my son came along with his little camera, and he took photos of the dogs. He didn't take any photos of me. It was just the dogs. There were dogs. We had dogs, and that's the photos from him. So it's nice of him as a moment in time. My brother took photos of him taking photos of the dogs, but yeah, not of me. So find someone that wants to photograph you. Okay. Put on some makeup. I don't know what you think about makeup. I actually really love makeup. I've been wearing makeup for a long time. I just like painting. So it's like painting on your face. But I think it really helps to put on makeup. And the thing about photos is you can't really have too much makeup, because you will always look like you don't have makeup. So put on makeup if you want. I don't care if you don't do it, but I like doing it. And I put on a ton of makeup. You wouldn't know it looking at my photos. And different things. I mean, I just put on makeup. So makeup is good. I like makeup for photos. It really makes me feel in the mood too. I also think about the outfit I'm going to wear with it, and accessories. And I really dress for the occasion. It can often be very, very hot, especially if you're photographing winter knits in the summer, like I just did the other day. Very hot. But you just have to do these things. And I just think about the whole outfit, right down to my shoes, even if you don't see my shoes. I think about rings and necklaces and earrings and the whole shebang, and my hair and makeup, and I just go for it. Look, we never get a chance to dress up anymore. This is a good chance to play dress ups, so you can do that. I've said here, when you're feeling nervous, try pretending to be someone else for a minute. When I get really nervous, or when I'm feeling uptight or anxious, or when I'm just really tired, my mouth gets really tight, and I notice it in the photos. And I've got a period of time with my photos where I really found it hard to relax my mouth. I was really uptight about things. And so I consciously, move my mouth around and I relax my mouth, because if I relax my mouth, my whole face relaxes. So when I'm nervous, I can do these really revolting shots with my face. And so I just try and relax my face and smile and fake laughing. It's amazing how good it makes you feel if you just fake laughing. And speaking of that, if you have got a photographer that knows you, I think one of the benefits of having Mr. Myrtle is obviously I have a connection with him. And so I know what he's thinking by looking at him, and vice versa. And he cracks rude jokes, and he makes me laugh, or I'll say something silly and I'll laugh, and the whole mood is diffused. So if you can take the edge off and not get grumpy with your photographer, like I do sometimes, if you can take the edge off, that really, really helps to just relax you, and you'll feel relaxed. Now, on the one hand, I relax my face, but I try and have my shoulders back. I try and stand up straight. I suck my tummy in. I do all of those things in an effort to kind of not be like that in my photos. I try and be a little more erect, because you want to see the garment. You don't want it all crunched up. So I try and do that as well as relaxing my face. It's a bit to think about. Oh, yes, that's the other thing I do. Got on my notes. Is have a little practice in front of the mirror before you go in front of the camera. So when I've got a shawl, that I'll just put it on a few different ways and I'll see what I like. And then when I'm out there, because I don't have an assistant who's telling me that my bra strap's showing or my shawl looks funny, or I don't have that. It'd been really nice to have that person. My photographer certainly doesn't have that ability. So I just have to have a think about what my shawl's going to look like before I go out. And then in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll try it this way. I'll try it that way. I'll try it this way. Oh no, I'm going to come back to that. And I've already had a little look in the mirror about what kind of thing might work. So just plan it a little bit. 2 minutes, that's all it takes before you go out. And also you might have a better side. You might actually have a face that you prefer having in your photos, one side than the other. If you have, just do that. Use the side you like better. Maybe yours is front on, maybe you like a side, whatever. Just do whatever works for you. What else have I got? An eye-catching photo looks alive, I've said. Yeah, this was an interesting one that I learned really, really a long time ago. And before I started taking photos for my patterns, I took some photos for these outfits that I made every month, and we would always go out in public to do those. Not always, actually. No, there was a couple of times we didn't, but mostly we did. And I would look at the photos, and I was 10 years younger than I am now. But I would look at the photos and I could see what made an interesting photo and what didn't. And I had to be quite objective about it. And I could see that angles made a really interesting photo. Me standing straight onto the camera, that's really boring. So I tried to put angles into it. My hips might be on an angle by just bending one knee, or I'd move my head a little bit, or I'd move my arm, or maybe you've got your arm out and you've moved your head and your head's down a little bit and your knees out. Angles make really interesting photos, and it's both you as the model, but also as the photographer. So get your photographer maybe to go up and look down at you, or move to the side, and just say, go over there, try that. Go over there, now go up, get a stool, do all that. But also think about you. And when you are, maybe years ago, I think it was Amy Herzog, had some ideas about how to take photos. I think it was her. And she talks about, if you have I can't show you properly, but if you have your hand on your hip, don't push it right in, just have it there, but don't push it in. And that makes for a better photo. So yeah, experiment with different angles and see if that helps you. When you make sure you're looking at the photos as they're being taken, to make sure your bra strap's not coming out, your shawl's not back to front, your hem's not popped up, your hair's not doing something funny, whatever. Just check as you're going. If you haven't got anyone telling you these things, which I don't, just check those things as you're going through. Check that they're focusing on the right place, that they're focusing on the garment and not just your face. Otherwise, your garment will be out of focus depending on the lens you use. Check all that stuff as you're going. I've said here, if you're feeling body conscious, which we all do, hold your shoulders back, stand up straight, take a deep breath, relax, do all the things. I don't know. I think it helps just to do it. It just helps to do it. And you don't necessarily enjoy it, but it just is quite good for your bravery just to do it. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations that aren't dangerous. I think it's quite a good thing to do. It's good practice. So I reckon, even if you're feeling nervous and you're feeling uncomfortable, focus on those things I said before, to make a best shot that you can with your background and your posing and your makeup and your accessories and pretending to be someone else and having someone that's nice to you taking your photos, and just do it. Have a go at just doing it and seeing how that feels. And that's what I said here. We all think you're totally awesome. We do. Nobody sees you like you see you. So everybody also in these groups, if you're putting these photos in their groups and these groups and it's about knitting, they see your knitting. That's what they see. So they'll focus on your knitting, and you're kind of unfortunately you're secondary to that. But we all want to see your beautiful knitting, and we all we all will be cheering you on. So I think that's one of the fabulous things about particularly our group that we have on the Hangout. We will be cheering you on. That is the mood of our group. We're going to build you up, and that's just what it's all about for me. So try and put some of that self-consciousness to the other side, and let's be those feisty old ladies that we want to be. Lastly, I've said take tons of photos. Like, take more photos than you think you'll need, and then take some more. And when you think I've actually had enough and I don't want to do anymore, maybe take 10 more and then stop. Like, you can take hundreds and hundreds of photos. When I come back to them later, you don't have to take that many, but we do. But when I come back to them later, I sit them on the computer, I put them on my big screen, and I go through and I go, yuck, 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 yuck. And I delete, like all the absolute no's. And there are many, many absolute no's. Of the hundreds, I usually end up with about 4 or 5 photos that I will have in the end. And I just, first of all, do a quick run through, delete, 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 delete. And then I come back, and then I can see the ones that I'm like umming and ahhing about. There'll be 2 shots that are similar, and one is obviously better than the other, and I'll delete the bad one. And I just narrow it down like that. And then I have a bash at editing some. And I just change the colors sometimes. I adjust with the cropping and the lighting. You can change that a little bit. And then I look at them again and I go delete, delete, delete. And then I end up with just a few. You only need a few at the end of the day. So that's that. That's my tips. That's my tips for you. And like I said, I'm sure there might be other tips, but these are my real life, real person, real tips that I have figured out over the years that make a difference. Put a little bit of effort in on the upfront before you start. It'll pay off. You'll enjoy that. Stand up straight, relax your face, try and laugh. Just try and laugh about the whole situation, and be really kind to yourself when you're looking at the photos afterwards. Just look for a good photo. Don't look for a you. Don't look at you. Look for a good photo. It's and look for an interesting photo. It doesn't. You can take out all the photos where you look funny if you want, but go for a photo that's actually interesting. Try and be a little bit objective about it, rather than all tied up in the emotion of, woe is me. Just look for a good photo and then show us the good photo. That's what we want to see. We want to see your beautiful photo. Be a little bit off center. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say to you. That's the other tip is, if you don't have any ideas and you're like, I don't know, where would I stand? I haven't got a clue. Get a photo that you love that someone else has taken and replicate the photo. Just take the photo, take the setup, you look at the shot. Oh, they're standing in front of this. They're about this far away. They're over here. They're standing like this, and just do that photo. Just do exactly the same. It won't look the same because it's you, but you steal like an artist. Has anyone read that book, Steal Like an Artist? If you haven't read the book, it's a little book like that, black book. I'll show it to you one day. It's called Steal Like an Artist, and it's absolutely, it's really good. I really like that book. It's a little bit of gold dust, that book. And it's the idea that you take ideas and you spin them and you twist them and you throw them in the air and you inject a bit of you into it, and then you come up with your art. We're never making something up from the beginning. We're always adding our flavor into something that's already been before, really. So steal like an artist. Go and have a little look and see what other people are doing. That's right. Look at the whole picture and say, we learn to see a little bit differently, learn to see the art, the piece of art, the model, the whole thing, and recreate that. And that really helps then taking you out of it. You stop being in it so much. It starts just being a photograph of a woman wearing knitwear, and you're going for a different sort of look. Anyway, I hope you think some of those tips are helpful. That was quite a lot of tips. I probably went on a little bit long. Isn't that the same with our knitting? Absolutely is the same as your knitting, Barb. Yep, steal like an artist. It's such a lovely concept. It really is. It's a really great concept. And if you haven't, it's a good book to read. It's just a fun little book. It isn't like dense or anything. It's kind of fun. And it's, I recommend reading that one, having it on your shelf and reminding yourself about it. But yes, there's lots of tips. I probably went on far too long. You're like, gosh, just want to take a photo, Libby, don't have to go into all this detail. But anyway, if you want to, they're there. Please, I'd love to see photos of you modeling your knits. And if you want to put them in our album over in the Hangout, pinned to the top of the thread, we'd love to see you there. Love to see them there. Did we get any flooding? Not at our house. We had a leak in the kitchen, which we've had before, but we were ready for it this time. And fortunately, Mr. Myrtle had already, he's been keeping all our gutters and everything clear, and everything's sort of clear. So we were actually fine at our place. We've still got some pretty boggy paddocks, and there's a bit of a natural waterway that goes through one of our paddocks, and that's pretty full. But apart from that, we are actually okay at our house. Fortunately, we're very lucky. So, and the garden has loved it, absolutely loved it. And that was interesting because, we do have a no-dig garden with a lot of mulch and compost and things on it, more of a permaculture style garden. And I was reflecting to myself at how well it had all coped. Because the water just got absorbed by all the material, all the matter in it. And the garden loved it, because it all soaked up all the water. We don't have any flooding to speak of there. It didn't just drain. Everything wasn't washed away because it's all, it's built to gather water. And so it was good. I was really pleased about that. That's years and years of work paid off, fortunately. Our stash awesome was worried about you. Oh, no, we're all right. We're fine. Because I wasn't on after the Monday either, because we had a scheduled power cut at our house and I was supposed to be away and we didn't anyway. So I wasn't on last week, but we were all fine. So the power cut ended up being delayed, but, one of those things. Worried about my stash. No, I'm all good. And so far, it seems pretty watertight out here. So I'm pretty good. And it is good. Yeah, drains and clean drains. We need sunshine to help the veg and the fruit ripen. Yeah, we've got a lot of rotten plums on the tree this year. I think that they haven't coped with the level of water we've had this summer, but I think the apples are going to love it. The apples, I think, will be fabulous this year. As long as we can get some sunshine to get them finished, they'll be good. Okie doke, everybody. It was lovely to chat to you. I will see you same place, same time, same place next week. And in the meantime, I want to see you take some photos. I'd love to see them in our folders. And I'll catch you next time. See you later. Bye, everybody.